Isn't it lovely when you record and then you look over to your computer screen because you've been staring at yourself in the little goddamn video monitor screen? You stare over at the computer screen and you go, "Holy shit, how long has it been?" And I haven't even been recording. Welcome to I'm Sick of This Place. I'm your host, Chad Becker. Unfortunately, there is a fertilizer plant already built trying to be expanded in Michigan that will cause catastrophic damage to the local area. I believe I will come eventually with more knowledge. This is knowledge that I don't have written down. It's not in my notes, and I'm not going to look it up. Remember, if it's not in here in my brain, if it's not in my notes, we're just going off of base what feels right. What feels right to me, and you can look it up. It's Michigan Biotech and Salt. And so the surrounding area, about I want to say it was 50,000 acreages around it, will be called I can't remember the terminology, like unforsaken land, like it's forever poisoned. And the beautiful thing about that is, in Congressional Dish last week for This Week in Congress, if you pay money, you get to so. Thank you, Jennifer, for giving me information that I will not look into myself, but then also providing me clips and stuff to then fact check you, Jennifer. Check out Congressional Dish. Anyways, she was saying that they recently passed a law that would allow schools to be built on these, quote, like, once again, lack for a better term, don't have the terminology, unforsaken land, like a wasteland where a fucking chemical dump. So it's like, great, your grandparents were, poisoned by the DuPonts or whatever the fuck, and now the grandkids are gonna have a school on the DuPont forsaken land, and then they get the same chemical poisoning their grandparents got, and it's like a cool, Ouroboros of cancerous cells that are forever floating around now, and this place has already been built. Once again, they're expanding. Eagle is not going to do anything except for lie to the residents. We've already covered that. We know. If you listen to any of this, Eagle's a lie. They lie all the time. The reason they're Eagle, they used to be whatever the fuck, and whatever the fuck the old name was, they had to change it to Eagle because they lied about the Flint water crisis for years. And what do you do when you lie? You change your name, you change your identity, you step away from it. You change the words and language. You change that around, and then everyone forgets. And that's the beautiful thing about like Al Qaeda and ISIS, and we just create them. We create the enemy, just like Israel did with Hamas. And with that in mind, actually, I want the whole Michigan thing. I'll get to that when I have more information. But there's like the people's wells are going dry because of it. Some lake reportedly has lost like 2 foot of water. They use, I think, 3 times the amount water Nestle takes from the Great Lakes. And at least with Nestle, they're bottling up, selling it back to us, and it's eventually going to go back into the environment. Whereas this shit, they're just, I think they are, what is it when they blast water down to fracking? I believe they're just using this water to frack, which then just becomes contaminated. And so 3 times the amount of water to not go back into the environment. And if it does, we don't want that water to go back. It's poison. But anyways, the trail I led to of terrorism, Saudi Arabia, the people behind 9/11, if you fucking know. I'm not saying Bush did 9/11. I'm not saying 9/11 was an inside job, but I am saying the attackers were Saudi Arabians. So Pokemon Go has been acquired by Saudi. They own the Prince of Saudi Arabia, who, by all means, is probably not cool. I think he beats his wife, but that's, that's culturally. That's like, I always love how there is women who want to go backpacking through these countries, and it's like, don't want to believe that rape exists, but it's prevalent in nations like that. Anyways, I really love on Instagram, because that's what I use. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on, the other ones. My poison is Instagram, and I love. So ever since I found this out that Saudi Arabia owns Pokemon Go, when I see the website, or not the website, the videos on the site of grown ass adults, which I've talked about. Unfortunately, shout out homie King of Soul. You get a pass because you're the homie. And I don't believe that you would fight adults for Pokemon cards. But I don't know you that well. I've just smoked weed with you a handful of times across the nation. And so Pokemon Go is owned by Saudi Arabia. And I love commenting on these posts. I can't wait till... I post, Saudi Arabia owns Pokemon Go. Hopefully these will be the next terror targets. Because strong men or weak men make hard times. Weak men fight over Pokemon cards. Weak men, and you might be, well, they're strong men because they're fighting. No, have you seen them fight? I cannot fight. But I surely would not fight over Pokemon cards. I have better things to fight about. Believe me. I wish I could throw batteries at cars all day long because these General Motor drivers are fucking insane. But you know what? Unfortunately, these dickheads I have to work with, and you know what? They might retaliate, and then I don't want that. But if they actually do end up sideswiping me, even though they almost sideswiped me, or if I actually do get hit by the man that has to sprint to his goddamn car, just leave early, faggot. And I mean that in the sense that he is not gay. He is just like sprinting to then get off his car and almost hit me. So if I'm almost going to get struck... Not in my car, on my person, my cellular kingdom. If my cellular kingdom is going to be get strucken by a vehicle, I am going to call that driver a faggot. Can I call him that? But not in a gay way. So, Scopely acquired Niantic. Scopely is owned by Savvy Games Group, which is thus then owned... That's Saudi Arabian government. It's owned by a public trust fund of Saudi Arabia, thus owned by Saudi Arabia. And this trust fund was established in 1971, reborn in 2015 by the Council of Economic and Development Affairs, National Strategic Responsibilities. Once again, this cool crown prince once have Jack Bezos' phone. He got his phone and sent him a link to malware, and that dumb fuck or whomever the dumb fuck that had his phone at the time, clicked on the goddamn link. He murdered Jamal Khashoggi, which was a big deal. I can't remember it. It was covered enough by other people. I'm sure he wasn't. I mean, usually a murder journalist is a good guy, and I want to say he was reporting on the crimes against humanity that go on in Saudi Arabia. And he also kidnapped the Prime Minister of Lebanon. I don't have his name written down, so that's kind of cool. So once again, this guy's kind of badass. So maybe he will turn these Pokemon Go players into hardened men. Probably not. He could easily lead them off cliffs. He could easily... What if Pokemon Go players storm the Capitol for a ho-ho. I don't know Pokemon. I had a Game Boy Advance, and the only one I had for that was Gold for the Game Boy Color. And I also, growing up, I was more of a Digimon fan, and then like the more autistic layers of that go like Monster Rancher, Metabots, like only the OG homies know about that shit. So how did I get here? I don't know. Who's this? Oh, Ezekiel. So these players, what if I think that would be fun. Oh my God. That would be so funny if he just started doing dumb practical jokes. Like, you know how improv, you probably don't know how, but Improv Everywhere used to do those videos where people would just like download the same MP3 and then like do some sort of spectacular thing in a park all together. What if he started doing that for Pokemon Go players? Like, unknowingly make it like a swastika, a drone shot. And the fun thing about that is, in my mind's eye, in my third eye, I see more quote unquote like Democratic voters, lefties, left people as Pokemon Go players. But you know, that could just be my sort of self-projecting, because I feel like I'm so far left I go right. I mean, I go so far left I cater into anarchism. Really, truly, I do. I would like to try to make a stand-up joke about how Sacco and Vanzetti should be like it. Like the bit I would do would be like, hey, ask if there's any Italians. And, like, what's your favorite Italian? Old Blue Eyes, whatever the fuck. And be like, oh, me, Sacco, and Vanzetti. And if they don't know, then I just kind of, I don't know. It wouldn't be funny because I'd want to ramble about how, like, this was back when America was real racist, even against Italians and whites, or Italians and Irish. And don't make me, the word the Irish had to learn to become white is the one that white people are not allowed to say. And I'm not talking about, Jesus Christ. I went into, because I play D&D or Starfinder. We're starting to play Starfinder once again. And this is through Discord. And I recently checked in on the Nirvana, the band, the show Discord. Ooh. I don't know what the R word is, but they don't want you saying it in there. And for me, I think rape is better than retarded, or rape is worse than retarded. Rape is better in the sense that would be be like, oh, that's the R word instead of retarded. I feel like rape is more of a violent, destructive thing, and retard is just fun term. I want somebody to make an argument why retarded is a worse word than rape, and why that should be the real R word. But I dare not discuss or ask these questions to these people. It was fun. I saw that they needed, once again, Nirvana. I should have never let them fucks get those goddamn files. But I don't think I'll ever. It's like, how can, maybe it's just, but even the Reddit was pretty fucking. But I haven't even been on Reddit. I haven't even Googled things for Reddit. You know what I mean? Or you'd be like, oh, why am I getting a red patch on my face? Reddit, but on Google, and then it'd take you to, I don't know, I haven't even been doing that, because Reddit, I used to like it, but it's just become an echo chamber of retardedness that I don't want to be a part of. Is that a flea on me? What the fuck? Certainly doesn't want to move, but whatever that black bit is. A couple months ago, I talked about Google and how they are a monopoly. Now, the latest development is Google must sell Chrome, but they can keep the AI, and it can't be the default search engine on all devices because they pay Apple, I don't know how many, probably billions of money, so it is the default search engine on iPhones. And Android Google owns Android, and that was a thing that they were going to make them bust up because it's a monopoly. That once again, Google Chrome, Chromium, Gmail, Android phone, Google search. You know, most people don't know. I think it's like 2004 when they bought that shit. So I could, I wasn't activated in 2004. I was 9. All right. Well, it stopped recording. I actually ran out of space on my memory card on the video camera. So I'm back tonight. It may look different. It may sound different. But I want to go back. I know I was already talking about Saudi Arabia, Pokemon Go. I think it would be fun if, once again, don't make fun of me, man. I have only seen like the original 200 or whatever the fuck. So if Voltorb, is that his name? Voltorb? Voltrobe? Voltarian? What if it was a Voltorb event when in actuality it was actually a real bomb and that Voltorb self-destruct and kills all those Pokemon Go players? We're back, baby. I know I was talking about Google, and I think I don't know if I finished. Listen, I'm not, this is ragtag. This is me doing everything. I ain't paying nobody. I ain't got no backers. I'm not going to take no money. I'm pretty sure our economy mostly run on advertisers. Like the whole technology is just fueled into new ways for advertising to, come into our lives. I'm so goddamn sick. I try to go to any of the gas stations that don't have screens on their pump stations because I don't want to have fucking advertisements when I'm pumping gas. I wonder in the future, dude, when are they going to start installing toilet seats with TVs in it for people that want to watch whatever the fuck while they piss? Because there are so many individuals that I see at work, out in public, anywhere where I can be watching and looking and staring and hating. I will see grown men peeing with their phone directly in their face. Now, I don't know about you, but I rock calico cup pants constantly. And I also don't think it's necessary for me to have a phone viewing while I am urinating, because that is so goddamn unnecessary. I am trying to make sure, calico cup pants, I'm not getting my foreskin in the zipper. Have you ever done that? That's fucking horrible. Or just penis skin in general, or sometimes a pube. That's what I wish upon them. I wish, because what I want to do is I want to slap it into the urinal, hopefully like mid horribly yellow piss stream. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hope that they zip up their foreskin a little bit. That's what I hope happens. Or, a pube, a calico cut pants, something for these individuals that have to be on their phones constantly. And I'm saying that as I look down to my phone because I need to pull up my notes. Unfortunately, we've only been at this shit for like 20 minutes. And I only have those two things written down about the Google and Saudi Arabia. What do we got? Oh, yeah. It's kind of funny because how, in the psychedelic community, there will be people that, if we could just put X drug in Y in the population by Y, you know what I mean? LSD and the acid in the water, mushrooms and fucking whatever the fuck. But that's what they do to us. But they market it, fluoride in the water, all these drugs. Oh, what if we could have people want to be self-medicated? What if they think there's something wrong with them? I just thought, reading things, being in and around the psychedelic community, not as much as I used to be, but that whole idea of putting whatever the fuck, acid in the water supply is, is a standard case. That's what they do to us, but to just dull us down. And that's what entertainment purposes is too, because even, I don't know if you listen to some of the shit that I post. I don't know if people listen to all this crazy shit because I'm just trying to inform you a little bit. Hello, Buddy B. I got Buddy Bongo. What the fuck is good, Buddy Bongo? Fucking psychopath. I should never pick your ass up. What was I saying? Anyways, the LSD in the water is just a fun thing because it's not a new, once again, it's not like it would be a breakthrough thing. If a good person can have a good idea like that, you give everyone a spiritual awakening, that's beautiful, it's a good idea. Of course, on the other side of that is going to be an evil business person or evil entity or an archon or a demon. Now, baby Bradley's. Oh my goodness! How the fuck did I know? You fucking as soon as one of you bastards came. Hey! How the fuck did I know as soon as one of you bastards came in here, you're gonna fuck. I didn't even spill that, you fucking bastards. How many cats are in this goddamn room? Fuck, man. You know what? Fuck it. This episode's good enough. I gotta clean up this goddamn mess now. Fucking, they never want any goddamn attention when I'm not doing anything. So where was I? What was I rambling about? I don't remember what I was rambling about, but that's the fun thing. That's why I was going to go to my notes. And now I guess I have a lit joint. So how many fucking stoppages of time is going to pass in between these hits? Okay. Oh, yeah. So I watched, I suggest people watch the 1990. Did it come out in 1990? I wrote 1990. Quick Change. It stars Bill Murray, Randy Quaid, and some hot chick. Pretty good movie. My dad wanted to watch it. I had to fucking do a goddamn rigmarole on Amazon. Goddamn Amazon, just like everybody else, we share passwords and secrets and codes for different video platforms. And so I'm at their house and I'm on my account and it won't let me use my Amazon credits. Mind you, literally the previous night, I am looking and I might buy fucking 11/18/43, whatever the fuck, XX 11/83 or whatever the fuck that George Lucas movie is. That's pretty good. Oh great, that's still kind of lit on my goddamn leg. What the fuck? Hooray. So yes, Quick Change is about Bill Murray is a bank rob. Well, it's about trying to get away with a bank robbery. You know, the first maybe 15 minutes is actual bank robbery, and then the next 20, you know, an hour and a half. Why can't we make hour and a half long feature films anymore that are compact and not overdrawn? It gives you all the information you need, and whatever you don't have, you can fill it in, or it's not really necessary. I just want a nice, quick story, and quick change is that. First 15, you know, maybe 20 is a robber. And then then the next hour is them trying to escape out of the city, knowing that the cops are slowly catching their trail. Pretty good, pretty funny. Did that go out? Yeah, because that big ass fucking cherry dropped. That's fine. What the fuck else do I have in my notes? Because them cats are locked out. I think women who dress like in the 50s, you know how there's always fucking weird chicks that like fucking want to cosplay like it's goddamn 50s again and wear like, you know, picnic patterned fucking blouses with fucking goddamn beehive hair with fucking red lips and red nails and a goddamn pasty ass face full of fucking chemicals. I think those women just want to be like smacked around a little bit and you know, take back shots or something. I don't fucking know. It just feels weird. It's like, wasn't that like, that's classic Why I Oughta, like that's where the joke comes from. Fucking Honeymooners, that still holds up. Truly, that is the backbone of comedy. The Honeymooners is classic. You know, the technology and the words of things have changed, but the comedy is still there. You know, they might be. I've only seen a few episodes. I'm not gonna say I know everything about it, but it's just classic sitcom. You know, once again, things are built upon the fucking remains of others. That's long forgotten, and then you got to be a cultural archaeologist to dig these things up and appreciate. And by being one of these cultural archaeologists, you learn to live outside of your current time in some sort of weird sense. I mean, I certainly enjoy things that are older than me, older than myself. I enjoy these things, and I'm living in a weird culture of my own design that is a mixture of decades. And obviously, I'm not the only one that does this, but I'm not trying to say I'm special. I'm trying to say that you do it also in your own way. Maybe it's not necessarily as mine is. Maybe it's only, you know, you really only fuck with 70s music. You know, you like Led Zeppelin and, you know, whatever. In the movies, you kind of fuck around with the 80s. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying is if there's a certain time period that you only go, you know, you only go so far back to, you know, 70s, 60s. I truly understand that. And what I am going to say is that I don't really like rockabilly type of music. I don't really fuck around with 50s music and shit like that. But I do like movies of that time. I can't list off anything in particular that I know is in the 50s. I mean, I think I got the original Godzilla, Seven Samurai. Obviously, I'm going to list off with old Japanese shit because, once again, those I know are old, whereas I don't know when The Great Escape came out. That might have been in the 40s for all I fucking know. Or what's that one that has What's that black actor's name? Sigourney. No. Um. This is a podcast where we don't look it up. I'm trying to use my brain. You should try to use yours too. Maybe then, only then, we can become more human. Fuck, I can't think of it. There's a S in there somewhere. Sidney Poitier. Haha, I knew I would fucking. I was holding you. I was getting there. I knew. I was like fucking. One of his movies where they're breaking out, or was it a riot in Cell Block 71 or some bullshit? That's like another 70s movie. Oh, it's a John Carpenter movie, one of his earlier movies before Halloween. It's it's a beautiful tale of a black a black cop and a white convict getting together to save the precinct from bikers that are almost superhuman. It's almost I say that or like biker zombies. I say that because it's like wave after wave of these guys that are just kind of terror. They're getting one-shotted like a zombie would, but they're human and it's just relentless. And there's kind of smart. They take like a car in neutral and shove it in front of them so they're not getting shot at, so then they can run. They're all like running down a hall and it's just one boom after another, boom after another, boom. You got to drop like 7 of them sons of bitches. As I'm saying, it's kind of like they're zombies because they are relentless. I don't know how I got to this point in time, but I know in my notes there's something about like Dynamite Lake in Canada. Because here's another cool thing. There's Indigenous Canadian news. So if you want to be like Canadians, you think you're so fucking high and tight. Well, here's a collection of Indians that are still alive that you guys castrated in eugenics. Oh, here are some Indians that were in your internment camps. Oh, unfortunately, it's just Indians or Native Americans, Inuits, tribes people. I don't know what the correct terminology is anymore. But what I am saying is that that's a great news source for just fucked up things. And you can be like, oh yeah, Canada, fucking pussies. How about this? You guys never want to talk about what you guys do. What the fuck? Where is it at? Yeah, Dynamite Bay in Canada. Canada, in Noble, Canada. Listen, this was probably like 2 weeks ago when this shit was more fresh in my mind. So Canada made a bunch of explosives for World War II. And one of these places, before that, they made dynamite in this place. And so there is about 2 cargo ships full of explosives sunk in the bay. And there's artillery shells, dynamite. There was a fire in 1945, so after World War II, right? Something like that. Once again, we don't look it up. It's not in my notes. I'm not going to look it up. It's not in my goddamn notes. We don't look it up. We try to go off of memory, folks. We're trying to be a human computer. Use your memory and your goddamn RAM. Your random access bullshit that you can just pluck that other people can't pluck because you're on your own shit. And so kids would make cordite bongs, and I want to say that material was like heavily, like highly explosive or just I don't fucking know. It was it's like some sort of mineral that you would use obviously in dynamite and explosives. That's really all I have on that, man. Because this is from like 2 damn weeks ago. I really should have known more. remembered more. But if you want to learn more than the fucking goddamn gobbledygook that I just told you, YouTube Dynamite Bay in Canada, and then subscribe to that YouTube channel, because then you'll learn a lot of weird, fucked up shit about Canada. And also, a really cool one is also like Central Asian News or something, or Central, it's like CNA, or maybe that's a Canadian one. But also there's like Asian news, and it's kind of cool because I don't know if I told you this, and this is one that I remembered from I don't know how long ago, but it's quite interesting because I thought it was a cool idea. And so in their random rundown malls, because of course they're dying in Asia too, they are implementing that for new things. And by new things, I mean they have like TikTok-esque places. I forget what that meant. I just remember they were like, this is a place for like streamers to do whatever the fuck they need to do. Like maybe they had like backgrounds or like renting like podcast studio booths, shit like that. Shit that people are into, but maybe not necessarily want to invest in themselves. So it'd be like, 10 minutes an hour. So they might, I don't know that what I want to say is that they were using, because once again, old people still kind of go to malls. So what were they doing? They were going, okay, old people go to malls. Sometimes old people that have Alzheimer's and they spaz the fuck out. So we're actually have like a giant section for like old people to walk around, or if they have episodes or need a spot to chill with other old people that had like a giant section or sections and the different wings, different areas, different levels. And I thought that was really cool. But unfortunately, I could only see that happening if, shitty insurance agencies and it turned once again. There's nothing necessarily wrong with capitalism, but at a certain point you have capitalism versus democracy, and that is the issue that popped into my head. So what would get involved with this, we couldn't do that because that's too nice, and I don't know what it went into the funding and the backing of those things, if it's a non-for-profit or or government sponsored. But yeah, that's something cool that we could possibly do, but I don't think that'll ever happen. Let me fucking. Oh yeah, okay. So you remember that that lithium ion battery plant that just keeps on catching on fire? And if you don't know about that, why don't you know about that? You should know important things like that. I think that's important. I know sometimes the news doesn't want to report on things, but I think it's your due diligence to know about things that should be important to you. So there's that lithium ion battery plant in whatever part of California. And unfortunately, that part of California is called, like the fucking the farmland of fucking Cali or whatever. I don't know. There's a certain name for it because like 70% of our vegetables and fruits and whatnot grow in this part of California. And mind you, the government's saying it's okay. Whatever these chemicals are, they're okay. You can trust us. We would never lie to you constantly. So see all the food there, all the seeds, all the food there is going to be contaminated with God knows what. I don't know what burns off lithium ion batteries, but I don't think that is good for you. And unfortunately, I don't know how to circumnavigate that. Besides, it's spring, and that means it snowed in Michigan. First day of spring. And what I can say is try to buy stuff locally if you can, because there's a 70% chance you're probably getting some of this battery burning bullshit, chemically fucking speckled and printed infused produce that unfortunately that's what we have to eat in America. I mean, I guess it's cool you can be poor and fat in a place. That shows you how, I don't know if there's a lot of science fiction, speculative fiction written about how even in a utopia, even the poor will be fat. But I think that's a funny thing to write about because obviously somebody that was probably in the fucking 1600s would probably think this is some sort of futuristic utopia. And in some regards, it definitely is. But I wouldn't consider it a utopia living in the moment, living in the current time, not in the 1600s. But I'm having a hard time figuring out how much I've recorded. I know this is the third time I've started, and I believe the first time I did record, I only recorded 16 minutes. And I don't know if I have anything to speckle in. I might, probably do. You know, some bullshit video at the end instead of sprinkled in, because I think it's better for all of us just to put it at the end if you're interested instead of speckling it in. Because speckling it in, I was trying to make it even more crazy. So let's delete those things, because God forbid I repeat that. And I'm hungry now. I've smoked a tiny bit. Have a good time after listening to this, because I don't know if it's the beginning of your week when this is getting uploaded. I don't know if it's the end of the week. But have a good week.
People 400 or 500 years ago experienced incubi, succubi, because they lived in a demon-haunted world. People 100 years ago experienced spirits and ghosts because they lived in a spirit-haunted world. The kind of world we live in is an alien-haunted world. We live in a world filled with X-Files and Star Trek and Star Wars and all these search for extraterrestrial intelligence. We're obsessed with the idea of alien intelligences. So of course we would interpret these anomalous experiences, these senses of presence, not as demons, but as aliens or gods, because we've always believed in gods.
Take pictures of people's brains while they are sleeping.
What would you do with the brain if you had one?
Do? Why, if I had a brain, I could...
If we go back to the beginning, we shall find that ignorance and fear created the gods, and that custom, respect, and tyranny support them in order to make the blindness of men serve their own interests. If the ignorance of nature gave birth to gods, the knowledge of nature is calculated to destroy them.
Researchers who study intelligence and different human capacities, the big hot new area is to look at the impact of the emotional on the intellectual and to see how much those two processes go together.
The notion here is that we, not God, are in effect creating our own response unwittingly, thus tricking ourselves into believing it is coming from elsewhere.
I think this is a really complicated moment.
Thesis of how we believe is that humans are pattern-seeking, storytelling animals. It is almost impossible for us to look out at nature and not find some sort of pattern and then tell a story about it. That's what myths and stories are all about, is giving some meaning to the pattern. And, only in America would a conversation like this consistently be brought back to this need to prove God. Look, you can't prove it. Let me just say it as clearly as I can. There are no proofs of God.
May I?
Whether there is a God or not, nobody knows. We'll find out, I guess, in the end. But in the meantime, as storytelling animals, we continue to spin stories about our world, and the scientific worldview is our story for today.
That just happened. That just happened. You hear so much, that thing just happened.
Kant, Immanuel Kant, Bertrand Russell said, we don't know the intrinsic nature of the physical world. What's it like in itself? What's the thing in itself? Kant said, one natural speculation is that intrinsic nature of the physical world has something very deep to do with consciousness. This leads to what philosophers call panpsychism.
I don't think panpsychism has, my own views. Consciousness is good and something special about human beings, and it's not everywhere. I mean, that's the cool thing about it. It's not everywhere. Consciousness just hides in very special brains.
Well, Berkeley would say, have you ever seen anything without consciousness?
Well, that's true. But
no, every time you see something, you're conscious.
Well, that's right. But consciousness goes where I go, where minds go. But minds aren't everywhere. Electrons don't have any minds.
Do we really have any record of any observation of anything that didn't involve consciousness? No, because the observation was conscious.
You're getting spooky on me. I think we've got to end this conversation because before I get really weirded out.
What is the one question you most want to see answered?
How does subjective consciousness work? How does it evolve? What's going on? When I have my own private feelings and you have your own private feelings, what happens when I see something red? What is it that makes the redness? What is it that makes the smell of onions? What is it that gives the subjective sensation that I know I have and I suspect you have, but I can never know what's going on inside your head?
Another looks at that and says, a complex design like this, I wonder if there was a creator or a thought designer behind this.
Are you familiar with the little quip that million-to-1 odds happen 8 times a day in New York City? It's the law of big numbers. There's enough stuff happening out there. There's enough particles, there's enough forces. The sun is burning, it's putting energy into the system.
That's
of course we generate complexity
scientifically doesn't make sense.
Out of chaos. This is called emergence, the principle of emergence. Out of chaos emerges complexity without any designer at all. All you need is energy put into the system. That's it. It just happens spontaneously. Now, as pattern-seeking animals, it's impossible for us to think it can't just happen. There must be somebody behind the curtain pulling the strings. Behind the curtain pulling the strings. Somebody behind the curtain pulling the strings. But there isn't. But there isn't.
But in point of fact, since the Neanderthals until now, we have a choice of many, many cultures' notions of what the afterlife is. And the amazing thing is that they don't cohere very well. Each culture designs what it thinks is important for its afterlife, and they don't necessarily have any relationship to other people's afterlives.
Is your heaven in the sky?
The funny thing is that Americans' near-death experiences confirm our relatively optimistic notion that we're all going to heaven.
How about your heaven, Eddie?
But if you look at near-death experiences over 2,000 years of history, you find that most often in the past they were fearful experiences in which people experienced going to hell. And when they recovered from it, then they changed their lives and became good religious people.
Well, my first idea of God was...
it seems to most Americans that we don't need to do that. Most of us think we're living just fine lives, and so we experience heaven.
Well, my first idea of God was...
The band in heaven...
That there was somebody...
play my favorite song.
Up in heaven...
When we have these experiences...
They play it once again. They play it all night long.
I think it's a normal part of the human mind that we do have these extraordinary experiences.
No.
There's a book called Why God Won't Go Away. And it suggests that we are, in a sense, wired to have these extraordinary experiences. In which our religious life is innovated, and we find new ways of expressing what the afterlife is about. So I think of these notions of the afterlife, which are produced by societies, and only recently by individuals, after all, as kinds of mirrors in which a society takes stock of itself. They tell us one thing or another, and they all have to be believed with a grain of salt.